Hi, this is Stimming. Today I'm going to show you the Ashun Sound Machines Hydrasynth. It's a wavetable synthesizer with 8 voices, 3 oscillators per voice, and totally digital package in a metal housing. The housing is like it's 10 kilos. It's quite well built. It's not necessarily a beauty. Like again, we have this orange versus modern LED color fight. But all in all, it feels very nice. The buttons feel totally fine. There's nothing to really complain about, apart from it's not necessarily a beauty. So I don't look at it and say, ah. When I hear it, I do, but that's a different story. Okay, so the machine is very complex. That's why I will focus only on a couple of things I really like about it and some things that I don't like, but it's not too much, to be honest. So to get the best idea of what the synth is capable of, I would start with the architecture of a voice, of the tone. Because from there we go to the layout, and then I'm going to show you a couple of tricks, and yeah. So the architecture, as I said, it's 8 voice wavetable synth. Each voice has 3 oscillators, oscillator 1, 2, and 3. They're basically the same, except 1 and 2 can, as I said before, it's a wavetable synth. Oscillator 1 and 2, they can morph in between waves. Oscillator 3 can't. It's quite static, but it has all the other waves which oscillator 1 and 2 have. After the oscillator 1 and 2 come 2 mutators each, which can be various of things. For example, linear frequency modulation, wave stack for super waves, which also goes for the wavetables, oscillator sync, pulse width in 3 different modes, and just added harmonics twice. So mutator 1 and 2. This goes into the mixer. Then we have 2 different filters, which can be parallel or serial. Serial? What's the... Anyway, you know what I mean. With very many modes, I just go through them to be as fast as possible. You see, from vowel to very easy low pass, 12 dB in fat and normal. I didn't hear too much of a difference in between the models, and as this is the wavetable synth, again, I will not take care anymore about the filters at all. They sound good, but they're not real analog, so I will not talk about that anymore. 3 freely assignable envelopes and 2 which are bound to filter and amp, as you can see down here, and 3 LFOs in a whole 5 LFOs. 2 of them assigned already, which you can also see up here in the filter control section. Pre-FX, delay, reverb, and post-FX. Just for the effects, it has chorus in 3 different types, flanger, phaser, rotary, lo-fi, EQ, compressor, basically anything you need. Delay, different types, reverb, different types. And I have to say, just to make this clear, it's a very good sounding reverb, especially for long haul flights. Yeah, and then everything goes into the post effects to filter it, to EQ it, or to compress it, or yeah, to put some weird chorus on the very end. Okay, the oscillator. The most important thing in a wavetable synth. The oscillator is capable of not only playing the standard waveforms, but much more complex ones. Let's initialize the sound. That's the saw. So that's quite a lot. But you heard there's this digital in between them. Every time you switch a waveform, there's a little. So that's why Oscillator 1 and 2 have this wave scan mode, where you can edit a wave list, and then you have 8 waveforms where the oscillator can interpolate in between. So let's start with a sine, then I go further to a horizon. Sync, pulse. Okay, there's quite a lot of stuff to dial in. Yeah. Okay, exit. Then I can. I hear a bit of artifacts, to be honest. I didn't hear that before, but you hear clearly the difference is much more fluent, right? Okay, you want to move this. You want to move this button either by an LFO or by an envelope. So how do you do this? You press an envelope and on the Oscillator 1, and there the mod matrix is there and has the source and destination 1 already applied to envelope 5 to Oscillator 1, and I love that. That's so. Okay, I didn't read the manual. I just thought, okay, it would be clever to just like push those 2 buttons and it should work. And yes, it works. So I choose the wave scan, go 1 down. I also go into the envelope, and there you have the movement. It's actually the waves I choose aren't too impressive with this, so I might anyway. So Oscillator 1 and 2 can do this. Let's use another oscillator. The mixer section, I just dial in the next mix, the next oscillator. With the standard waveform. Those 2 modes, single and wave scan, are the basic modes for the oscillator themselves. With the wave scan, you can make incredible movements in between the waveforms, but you also could change the specific waveforms by themselves. So the Oscillator 3 isn't capable of morphing. So let's hear how this sounds if I move the wavetables by an LFO. So I press LFO in this one, the wave. Yeah, so here it's possible, but it's not necessarily beautiful. Okay, the mutators. As I said earlier, it's different modes. I want to show you the wave stack mode because we have this movement in the wave scanner oscillator. Another one is, for example, a linear FM, which can modulate itself. And as usual, FM very easily goes into white noise. Okay, but the possibilities are it's quite endless. Especially like I can the ratio. Of course, I can move the ratio with LFO4, for example. So I go to Mutator 2, ratio is already applied, and I just have to open it. I like that. I have to say, not the sound itself, but the possibilities and the easiness of getting there. It's like, because they have the modules kind of printed, but you also can, like, you jump into the module you wanna tweak. It's as obvious in a positive way from a design perspective, from a practical design perspective as obvious as possible. In general, what I figured with this synth, if I have a wish for an option, let's say envelope 5, an envelope, we all know an envelope can loop itself. So you can, like, usually you can either like have this envelope loop option in a synth and the free run option, but here it's not only infinite, it also can just loop itself for, let's say, 2 times, and then it goes to the release phase. Let's hear how this sounds. I have to switch off those. Maybe there's a more clever way of switching off the LFOs, but I didn't find it yet. Okay, I want to know how the Okay, that was a bit too loud. There's still a tone going. Yeah. Okay, that was a bit too loud. But you see, like, I have the synth for a week, and it's so intuitive, kind of. If you know about synth, and like, if you have some knowledge already, then this synth is making it very easy. Controlling a complex architecture, not too complex, but in certain points, it's very different from other points. From other synths I ever had before. For example, pulse width modulation on wave tables. I don't know. I haven't heard of this before, that this is possible. So there's this preset here, which I started this. The preset, it has this pulse width modulation, depth and speed. Okay. So I think you got I think you have an idea of how the architecture works and what to love about it. So let's get to the interface of the synth. It has 2 of the standard wheels. It has 2 wheels. It has a chord function. Somehow you can switch on and off glide. I haven't found a way how to use it, but anyway. Then it has this ribbon controller. So I initialize this patch. The ribbon can work, of course, as a pitch bend, but also as a theremin. And then after like 3 days, I figured, wait, it has the same size as the keyboard, so it should be possible. Like the tones you play here correspond to the tones on the keyboard, and yes. So it's so easy to beautiful, isn't it? I mean, it's so obvious to build it like that. And I don't know, maybe other synths do that as well. But here I feel like, okay, I will use this theremin sound, a much more beautiful one, of course. But I'm going to use this and I'm going to practice, I promise. Okay, then it has this arpeggiator, which looks like a very normal one, and it is, but it has some special features. For example, of course, up and down, all the normal ones you have on an arpeggiator, random. It has this chord function. And then there's those 2 points called ratchet and chance. So there's some flamps just out of, but random. It puts some random flamps or rolls in there. I think there's different types of rolls and flamps. It puts in by chance, and it's not really taking over control because, like you guys know, I usually don't like random features, but here it has just the right amount of randomness to it that it makes a very simple thing sound interesting immediately. And then it also has phrases. I think it's 64 different phrases which are inside the machine, for example. So if you really run out of ideas, go there and you're gonna find something. The main systems, it's everything you need. System setup, I think it's like 12 pages with 8 options. You will find your problem and you're gonna solve it. The sounds which are in there, which are freaking a lot, like I can show you, like could someone bring some coffee, please? Okay, here we are, empty. Hey, that was quite fast. Is it fast? You can also go by number, by name, and by category. So you can choose your pad sound. You can choose a pad and then the sound. Look how the different pad sounds sound like. Initiate, random. Another one. Another one. Another one. Yeah, master control, you already saw, it's like very dependent on in which mode you are. And the most important thing is the macro assign button. Of course, the mod matrix to build the sound, but with macros, you can tweak the sound very radically with just one knob. And this knob is MIDI controllable. So you can tweak the knob and tell your sequencer, hey, I tweaked the knob and it's going to record it, and you can put it on your arrangement. That's very impressive. For example, this lead sound. So you can make a lead sound to bass and vice versa pretty easily. That's impressive, isn't it? I found it impressive. Okay, yeah, it has dedicated filter knobs, which is nice because we're used to like the first thing you touch on a synth is the filter, and yeah, you can do this here as well. So the combination between very high-tech, all options you can imagine, combined with kind of a traditional approach, I think is what makes the strength of this synth. So you feel at home, but then it's a little bit more than just at home. There's a feature over there, and then you feel that, and then you hear a sound. And before, yeah, here's the CV gate option. It sends out pitch gate, 2 modulators and a clock, but it can eat 2 inputs. Those inputs, like we all know in the modular world, an input can be anything. Those 2 modulators can be anything inside the machine. To give you an idea of what I actually mean is, I have an OP1 here, and I thought, okay, I just throw some percussions in there and kind of use those. Let's hear them first, so you know what I mean. And I just tweak this. In the mod matrix, I would use the... Oh, by the way, did I mention the keyboard is polyphonic aftertouch? So it's not only the standard aftertouch, but you can it reacts on each tone differently. That's a nice feature, and it works really, really nice. So mod in 1, and then let's say I go to the... Yeah, I just open the filter with it. Let's keep it simple. Nah. Okay, OP1. Let's put this in here. Opening the filter. And the filter was like the first thing that came into my mind. It's put it on the amp, put it on the frequency modulation where the wavetable modulates itself and stuff. It's powerful. Okay, so before we come to the conclusion, I'm going to show you my favorite sound. It's called LHR JFK LAX, which is the long haul flight. I did this a couple of times. It's like 18 hours something. I think it's just sine waves that work together. But for me, this pretty much is what this synth is about. What I didn't do yet is showing you a bass tone, and this is a little bit of the weak spot of the whole machine. It's very interesting in its tone and its color and the morph of colors. For me, it's very fresh, but then when it comes to bass, it's not too powerful. It's a little bit, yeah, it's a bit weak, you can say so. But it can do that kind of stuff. And I just wrote down a patch number because there's too many. What was it? A97. So that's like a... fretless bass. Okay. A97. And then also, like, developers, please, like those effects, they sound really good, but we don't need effects on every sound big time. It's like when I was like going through all the sounds, I was like, it's an effect, wash, and again there's like soap and soap. It's maybe a bit too much. It's already okay, but you hear it. It's not too. It doesn't have this. So this kind of lacks to it. But on the macro page, I just found out that all the macros, you can disable them by pressing this button. And if you have a bass like this, so it definitely can do this stuff, but it's not. It doesn't have the balls. It's more like a. It breathes, but it's not a punch. Okay, my conclusion. I really like the synth. For me, it's like the most fresh sounding synth since a very long time. I have the non-linear lab C15. Yeah, I got one. And it's also very fresh, but a little bit more in the future. This thing is like a connection between the 80s with its PPG wave kind of thing and nowadays 21st century kind of. By the way, it costs $1,400, which I think is a very fair price for the amount of synths you got. Even if it's just 8 voices, I actually would love 12 or 16 voices. So I really like it. It's a bit of a shame that it doesn't have too much balls in the bass, and it's not necessarily a beautiful one, but I really like the sound. Yeah, so this thing costs $1,400. There's a desktop version which doesn't have the keyboard and has a little bit of a different layout, which is a lot cheaper. So you get the sound engine for less, but I don't think it has this ribbon controller. I like the ribbon. Yeah, so I want to have one in my studio because I want this crispy chicken. Nah, it's not chicken. I don't know. It's really good. I think it's more vegetarian. I think it sounds vegetarian.